Hey there friends, I'm Leo, and today I have something really cool to show, which are the pets that you can summon at any time and will help you in combat. In this video I'll be going over the behavior of pets, how I am separating and organizing the system, and how easy it is for you to implement new pets and add new things like mounts or vehicles. This is probably going to be a shorter video because I want to have it more focused on one individual thing, instead of multiple things that I have been doing in development, like performance adjustments and bug fixes, things like that. Also, before we begin, I wanted to say two things. The first one is that my dad got diagnosed with COVID about 2 weeks ago. Everyone here at home got really scared and we all did tests, but me and my mom came out negative. I was still feeling some of the symptoms, so I was a little bit skeptical about it. But we did other tests and everything came out as negative again. Then a couple days ago my dad was cured and everything was back to normal, so we're fine now. Needless to say, I wasn't in the right mind space to work, so I took a couple days off and tried taking my mind off by playing some games, mostly Deep Rock Galactic, which is a pretty amazing game by the way. Second thing I wanted to say is that I'm going to be doing an AMA Christmas video coming in a couple days, where I will be answering questions from the last devlogs. So if you have any questions for me, just comment them down below and I will give you a shout out on the video itself. Now let's get started with the pets. Here's how it works. Let's say you are doing a quest and you receive a pet as a reward, or maybe you got the right components to craft your very own pet through engineering and you finally crafted one. A pet is a consumable item, meaning that you need to right click it when you have it selected and you will spawn or take away your active pet. So after spawning your pet, it gets added to this active pet list on your player, and this pet list is going to keep track of your pets that are alive. So your pets will now follow behavior depending on a couple things, like ranged or melee, or if the pet has any special attacks or behaviors. Take the Dotbot for example. It is a simple pet that has a flaming ranged attack. The Dotbot also has a variant that has a screwdriver for a hand and deals melee damage. You also have the Gatling drone that deals a rapid flurry of attacks, dealing low damage every half a second while it's shooting. And finally you have the Sphere droid, a bulky robot that deals a moderate amount of melee damage and has a little surprise. Every 10 seconds it will execute its special attack, where it uses its blades like a fan, combined with hot air to deal lots of damage in quick succession to its enemies. These are the pet ideas I had so far, but adding a new one is just incredibly easy. Pets can also deal any type of elemental damage, as well as damage over time, just like the player does. There could be pets that are like normal animals, like a big rat or something like that, and you could get them from quests or dungeons just organically from playing the game. The infrastructure is all there, but not all of these pieces are in place yet because I still have to figure out some things. For example, do you think pets should be able to get the aggro, like the attention of enemies? If so, I would need to make a system to generate threat, much like in an MMORPG game. So some pets would not generate much threat, while others would generate a lot more. Then there's the whole aspect of making them too overpowered, which is something very easy to do since the player will be able to have up to 3 pets. I mean, I'm still deciding on that, but it's going to be either 2 or 3 pets. Also, another thing is that if the player uses the jetpack to fly away, should the pets follow him? I mean, pets that can fly like the Gatling drone. If the Gatling drone was able to follow the player, there's also an issue where it could probably interfere with the player's aim while he's flying, which would be very, very annoying. What I have programmed right now is that if the pet gets too far away from the player, it should just teleport to its position right away. And this way, if the game glitches out and the pet gets stuck, you can easily unstuck it. At first, I had this idea that the pets should be equipped on your inventory. But this just didn't feel right, since I also plan to have mounts and other active items like that. Having it all as equipables would just make the inventory way too cluttered and convoluted, I think. So in order to make the system work, I had to add some extra code for my inventory slots, and now I have this function I can call to add a cooldown timer to any slot. So after using a pet, you need to wait for the timer to run out so you can use it again. And this cooldown can also be used in case your pet dies, making it so you cannot spawn it again for something like 30 seconds or so. Now, the great thing about all of this is that I can now make any crazy usable items that I want. The first idea that comes to mind is to have mounts, that after being summoned, it just spawns by your side and allows you to ride them. The way I coded this system, I can just make an item and override the use function, so I can literally make anything happen when you use an item. It's also going to be a lot easier for me to make new content for you guys, so that's always a big focus for me, is to make code that is easy to make new stuff for. Another of these areas that I can customize to make literally anything happen is the pet special attacks and even regular attacks to an extent. I'm going to be going over a little bit on how I made the behavior tree for these guys now. Okay, so here I'm going to just show you a little bit on how it works in action, right? It's a little bit different than what I did for the enemies, because this time around I'm using this thing called a behavior tree, right? This is basically the brains of the pet. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still use all of those variables that I normally use to customize the pet, and I'm going to open it here right now to show you how it works. Here you have the pet, right? And it works as you would expect. You have the pet over here, and the pet has this pet behavior component that you can access to know things like the pet's size, if the pet flies or not, if it executes a special attack, if it is a melee or ranged. All of the information that you would need to customize your pet is all in here, right? But the actual behavior and the actual actions the pet is going to take at a certain moment in the game is all over on this side, and this is kind of the new aspect of it that I was studying and learning how to make. So this behavior tree is just a kind of, it goes on the nodes based on a priority check. Okay, so if a variable is equal to true or false, it goes to separate areas. So you can think of this as like a tree branch. And for example, if the player is flying, it's going to go over here on this area because it's going to check if the player is flying or not. And if the player is not flying, it's going to go over here. This is just the same check, but it's inversed. You can see here it's written inversed. And then it goes to this other area, right? If the player has a target, if the player is fighting against anything, it is going to go over on this side. And then if the player does not have a target, it's going to just follow the player. Now over here is when the pet is in combat. So if the player has a target, it's going to, the pet is going to execute either the melee attack or the ranged attack. And both of them work kind of the same way, it's just that it executes a different function inside of the pet. Now, for example, the ranged attack, it's just going to move to the enemy, and then it's going to check if it is within range or not, and then it's going to execute the ranged attack, and then the special attack. Now, this simple attack cooldown function, it's called a condition, I believe, I don't remember quite well, but this condition over here is only going to allow this node to be played if the cooldown is met, and then it's going to reset the cooldown. So then you can have a cooldown of 20 seconds for a special attack, and all of those things are factored in when the pet is in combat, which is this area right here, right? So the flying area I didn't really program yet, but it's already kind of placed. And it's what I said, the infrastructure is all built. I just gotta figure out all of those game design decisions that I had. And all of this area over here, it's kind of similar to what you would expect on the actual enemies that you see in the game. So I'm just going to show you the ranged attack, how it works. It just gets the component inside of the pad and executes the function there. And this is the function. I still gotta work on some other things like changing the scale of the projectile. I just left this here to remember to change it later. But this is the ranged attacks, this is the function for the special attack, and this is the function for the melee attacks. Now, I can teach you guys to do all of this if you want, just let me know in the comments. I could do like a video where I kind of make one of these kind of behavioral AIs and just kind of show you how to make the, I don't know, just the regular attacks maybe, and then you can replicate that to make the special attacks too. I have these things called the dispatchers, and then the best thing about all of this is that I could, for example, call the function inside of this guy right here and have a custom thing happen every time he attacks. So I could have, just imagine a pet where every time he attacks, a lot of bombs get spawned in around him, for example, just like a crazy idea. I could have that happen every time the pet attacks, or like a special attack. I could make that easily just by overriding the functions inside of the pet behavior component right here, right? So it's what I said, it's a very modular system that is highly customizable. Now, all of this behavior tree stuff I ended up finding more practical than the work I had done before with the enemies. At first, I didn't really want to use these behavior trees because I didn't really understand it, but after taking a bit of time to learn about it, I'm feeling a lot more comfortable working with them. So yeah, this is what I have on pets so far, and right now I'm making all of the plans for 2021, what I intend to focus on, and what aspects of the game I want done by the end of next year. And I want to have a more focused development where I don't just decide what I'm going to do a month prior. You know, I want to really have a point A to point B to point C and really know what I'm going to have by the end of next year and be able to organize that better. I'm going to be going more in depth about all of this on the Christmas special video, talking about the tutorials that I want to make as well. Also, I know that I said that I would have like a playable build for you guys, but I think I need a little bit more time. I want to have an actual scene with some houses and interiors and have everything very performant, because as I'm planning all of this stuff I want to do next year, I'm really considering have a more steady kind of builds of the game for patrons only, but keep in mind that these builds could have varying performance, because throughout development, as you start to add new mechanics and new models, sometimes you may do stuff that breaks the game a little bit and you have to go back to fix it. So if I let you guys play every week, there could be some stuff that are going to break the game for you, and I think that if I just let every single like build of the game public, it could hurt the game's image, I think. So I want to have a better version out, and I want to take the time to really make the game performant and work good before I really push out a public build on itch.io. I want to make this public vertical slice of the game, and most of my goals for 2021 will be about that. Then I think I could make a really cool demo and have it available for everyone on itch.io. So if you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe and like. Thank you so much for watching, and I also want to thank my patron Django for the support. You guys have a wonderful day. I'm Leo, signing off.